Hi, and welcome to the Assembly Lights podcast. I'm Chris Torrance. It's been a while since I've done a YouTube video, and I've got some updates on what I've been up to lately, as well as an exciting new product to show you. So let's get started. It's been quite a while since my last YouTube video. In the past year, I've been heavily involved in planning for Kansas Fest, and so this was including Kansas Fest 2025, which was virtual only, as well as getting ready for Kansas Fest 2026, which is going to be in person, although we haven't decided the venue yet. I've also been working a lot on my Apple IIs emulator, and I did a presentation at Kansas Fest 2025 on that, and so you can check out the YouTube video for that. What else has been going on? I actually broke my leg a couple of months ago playing vintage baseball for our local historical museum, so that was kind of exciting. Finally, I'd like to dedicate this video to my friend Harry Edwards, who passed away in September at the age of 92. Some of you may recall my earlier YouTube videos on the Frieden calculator, which Harry had donated to the Media Archaeology Lab here in Boulder. Even in his late 80s, Harry was able to recall everything about the calculator and how to repair it, and he was a huge help in getting it up and running for the Media Archaeology Lab. After leaving Frieden Calculator, Harry Edwards went on to work for 3M as a sales representative for their photocopier division. After retiring from 3M, he took up the hobby of restoring vintage cars, and he did an amazing job on a variety of cars, including a prized Model T that had actually belonged to his father. Harry was a great guy. He was super funny, and we're really going to miss him. I strongly urge you to go back and look at those Frieden calculator videos, and I'll put some links in the show notes to those. All right, so let's get started with today's topic. We have a new product from MFA2 Workshop, and this is perhaps the world's smallest Apple IIe computer. So let's get started. Here we have the new Apple II emulator from MFA2 Workshop. This features a 2.4-inch OLED screen as well as a built-in keyboard, and it comes with a SD card which fits into a slot at the top, so this is a micro SD, as well as a USB charging port. And then on the bottom it has a standard USB input, so you can plug in either a full-size keyboard or a joystick, which we will see in just a minute. So let's go ahead and we'll turn on the emulator. This is using a Apple IIe with a 65CO2 chip as well as 128K of memory. If you look at the keyboard, you can see that it is sort of a compressed version of a standard QWERTY keyboard. It has most of the symbols that you'd find on a regular keyboard, although you need to hit some special key combinations to get those. Let's go ahead and we'll switch to another disk image, and then we can type some characters and see how that works. So to switch disk images, I'm just going to hit the symbol key and backspace, and this will get me to the menu for the SD card. So here's all the disk images that I have loaded. Now to move up and down, I'm going to use the left and right arrow keys, and you might look at this and say, well, where are those? So I'm just going to use Control H and Control U, just as if I was on like an old Apple II Plus. The Alt key is actually Control, so I'll just hit Alt H and I can move up, and let's go say to the Mech Inspector disk. I'll hit Enter, and then I'll just turn the emulator off and back on, and it'll load that new disk image, and that's now stored in its flash memory, so it'll load that disk image every time I turn the emulator back on until I switch it again. So let's just go to machine identification, and you can see this thinks it's an enhanced Apple IIe, 128K of memory. We have two cards. We've got an extended 80 column in the aux slot 3, and then we've got a regular disk 2 card in slot 6. And so let's see, if we hit space, we'll go back here and we can do any of the other tests. But let's just go to the basic prompt just to see how to type things. So to hit reset, I'm just going to hit Alt or Control, and then the backspace key is reset. and then we'll just hit it again, and now we're at the prompt. By default, the emulator outputs all uppercase characters. However, I can switch the caps lock off by just holding down Alt and Sim. And now when I type characters, you can see I get lowercase. If I hold down the left shift key, then I can get back to uppercase. If I want any of these special symbols here that are marked on the regular keyboard, I just hold down the right shift key. So I can type 1, 2, 3, some parentheses. Now, you'll notice that there are some symbols that are actually missing from this keyboard. For example, something like square brackets, percent sign, etc. And so MFA2 Workshop has come up with a very clever way to do this. You can see that they're all kind of etched in the plastic here, so you can actually see which key corresponds to which. And to do that, you just hold down the symbol key, and then you click, say, if I wanted a left bracket, right bracket, and then here's some curly braces. And then if I wanted one of these other keys like a percent, that would be this second row here of keys corresponds to this row up here. So that was kind of a clever way for him to get around the fact that some of those symbols aren't actually built into this little tiny keyboard. There's a bunch of other keyboard shortcuts. These are all detailed on my store page. I'll put a link in the show notes to that. One other little trick you can do, if you hold down right shift plus symbol like that, then the B, N, M, and $ become the arrow keys. So for example, if I hit N, I'll go down, M goes left, $sign will go right, and then B goes up, although I can't go up here because I'm just in basic. So that's kind of a clever way to do that. And then to get back out of that mode, you just hit that again, and then you're back to normal characters. The emulator handles a variety of disk formats, including DSK, PO, and HDV. It doesn't currently handle WAS images, although that's something that I'm hoping to convince MFA2 Workshop to add support for in the future. You can see I've plugged in a standard wired controller here, and this is just a kind of a generic Xbox or PlayStation controller type thing. You can probably also use a controller that has a dongle, so a wireless one, although I haven't actually tried that. And let's go ahead and we'll boot up something like Choplifter and see how that works. All right, so now that we have Choplifter going, I'm going to go ahead and I'll hit the buttons here. So you'll have to figure out for your controller which buttons are which. So for me, button number 3 here looks like it's the one that's the shooting button, so that's the first button. And then button 2 is the one that lets you spin left and right. So everything seems to be working great. It's actually really, really responsive. I don't notice any lag between hitting the buttons on the controller or moving the joystick and the actual input into the emulator itself. So you can imagine this is actually a pretty big controller, obviously, compared to the size of the device itself. But you can imagine getting one of those little tiny 8-bit DOE controllers, and then it would just actually be really cool because it would be about, maybe a similar form factor to the emulator itself. Again, the controllers work great with this, so you can play all your favorite joystick games. The emulator comes with everything that you see here, including the emulator itself with a built-in keyboard. It has a 500 milliamp battery, which lasts for approximately 3 to 4 hours and can charge in under half an hour. It comes with a 16 gigabyte SanDisk SD card, which is preloaded with several software titles, including Total Replay. And then finally, it comes with a charging cable for the battery, and this is a regular USB-A on one end and a micro USB to plug into the emulator. The Apple IIe emulator is available now on my website for sale. I only have a few of them right now because MFA2 Workshop really wanted to see whether this was something that people would actually be interested in. So if there is enough interest in it and I get enough orders, I'll go ahead and I'll ask them to make more. So head on over to my store page to check it out. I'll have a link in the show notes. I also have a link to my Patreon if you'd like to support me further. And feel free to leave any comments or suggestions down below. Once again, thanks for watching.